Aquaman, Aquaman, Aquaman. We're taking a deep dive on all things Arthur Curry, good and bad, spoiler-free and spoiler-full, today on DC Movie News.
Welcome to Popcorn Talk, featuring movie discussion, news, and interviews. Popcorn Talk. We talk movies. And now, here's Popcorn Talk's DC Movie News.
In the great hall of the Justice League,
Hey-o!
there are assembled the world's four greatest
man!
heroes, created from the cosmic legends of the universe.
Here we go.
It's not on my side. I really can't, just so you know.
Okay.
It's by him.
Can you trim me up a little bit?
Mike needs a little more audio,
I need a
so
little
do
bit.
I. I have none.
We got a little bit. We got turned. It went down for something.
I got no
happened.
snare in my headphone, just like
No snare?
Eminem.
What?
Eminem. There's
What's
no
that
snare
mean?
in his headphone.
Better worse.
I'm hearing
What?
nothing.
Still not hearing nothing.
I hear nothing.
Oh.
I am worried about nothing.
We got nothing. Yeah, are we not even hearing each other? or-
No, but it's fine. There we go. I've got some audio.
something?
I got some juice in this
I don't have anything yet.
Aquaman.
Nope. We keep talking.
I
Watch
love
this.
that this is our biggest show of 2018.
Yep,
Finally, we're getting
No.
into our Aquaman review.
Just turning up
No,
buttons.
you just keep doing me. You just
Okay.
keep making me louder.
Well, let's
now.
just go on. We'll be fine. I'll
You will
make
be
do.
fine. We're
I'll make
all
do.
in the same exact
Now, are
room.
you too loud?
I would just get back up, Adam, and start the show.
Oh boy.
Oh boy.
Here we are.
Okay.
Always some difficulty.
Hey guys, welcome to DC Movie News today. This is our Aquaman-rific episode. We've all seen the film. You've seen the film. You probably don't want to watch this until you've seen the film, even though we'll start it off spoiler-free if you want to get
We
a
will
little
do that.
teser.
Oh, you definitely should watch this if you haven't seen the film.
Okay,
you
watch
wanna
it if
know
you
how we
haven't seen the
feel.
film, and then
Yeah.
watch it in parts, I guess. And then in that scenario, you would stop it at a certain point and come back.
Exactly.
So, first of all, welcome fans of all things DC. It's a big day. We got a big opening in the States. Aquaman's already been open other places in the
It
country.
feels like it's been open for a month now, but hey.
Does feel like everybody's seen it but us. But what I've been doing to bide my time is, of course, watching Titans on DC Universe,
I have finally.
which I know you've
Not
been...
finally. I just want to say it took me a little while to get which way I was going to do it, but I finally had some time at work. There were like 6 episodes airing, so I caught up on all those, and then it got me invested so fast. I fell in love with the show. Now it's the typical of like, wow, I gotta wait till next week for the episode. This
Right.
sucks.
So
You're so
today,
bratty.
today is the second to
Bratty?
last episode. Am I
I
right?
want it
of
now.
Aquaman?
Yeah, it's a 12 episode.
And then
it's
a lot of
11.
people have seen
No?
that there's a second to last episode. I think is today, and then next week is the finale. I believe.
Are we sure on that?
I believe so. Chat roll if you're with us. If anybody's
I
with us,
thought tonight
confirm
was the
that.
finale, like,
I
today
don't think
Friday's
so.
the
I feel
finale.
like they did a weird thing where they released.
12 episodes.
Well,
I
I'm
think they
gonna-
put out the thing because Batman was in it.
You
so I
keep
think they
talking,
put
I'm gonna
that
pull
out.
it up on
I
my
put that.
app
I
right
think
here.
I think they teased that out extra far. But guys, this is the first original series to launch on DC Universe. Titans follows a young group of superheroes, including Robin, Starfire, Raven, Beast Boy, and others. There are some great others to that list, by the way. I don't want to spoil anything. Did you confirm what episode we're on right now?
No.
Okay. So pretty much it's coming to the
Well,
conclusion.
we know that this was episode 11 today that dropped, so we'll see.
Okay.
It will be a nice surprise for us.
Oh, man. Off the
swerve.
rails so
Pull the
early at the beginning.
swerve.
So if you haven't watched any of the episodes, join now. Get your membership. You can get more info at dcuniverse.com. We'll tell you more about Titans as the show continues, because we always do. But we want to jump in and talk about Aquaman.
Yeah,
Dive
we
into the
do.
deep end.
We want to dive into the deep end.
Every time somebody says that, I think about I'm on the deep end, watch as I dive in.
Gaga?
I don't know the words, but
Yeah, Gaga.
Yeah, from the Star is
Star is
Born.
Born, yeah.
Do you think that's going to win Best Picture?
I don't know.
I think that is a
Maybe
very...
it's gonna be Aquaman.
I think Star is Born is my pick right now. What do you guys think? Best Picture. I'm calling Star is Born right now.
I think it could be.
I think it could be up there. Absolutely.
I mean, I know it's going to be up there, but I think it's going to take it.
Green Book might take it. That one's getting a lot.
We'll see. We'll see.
We'll see.
Anyway, we're not here to talk about Gaga except for the deep end. So we're going to start off with some spoiler-free stuff.
Yeah,
Roxy,
so-
Roxy, you got some cool things to bring.
Stats.
to
So
this.
here's the game plan. We're gonna give you guys a little stat exercise. It's not really much of an exercise as it is.
Yeah,
Just
you
an
don't have to
explanation.
participate at home.
Yeah, you don't have to do anything. And who likes to exercise anyway, especially during the holiday time? Am I right, people?
Are you right?
We're going to talk a little bit about how it's doing. Then, like Adam said, we're going to get into a spoiler-free. So if you have not seen it, no worries. We're just giving our general thoughts. And then, of course, we are going to get into spoilers and a little bit of TV time.
I will
So-
say that I have been really hitting extra yoga classes during the holiday season to try to
Oh,
balance.
Are you feeling stretchy?
I'm feeling more limber than I have in quite some time, actually.
Feeling a little elasty-girly?
Yeah.
That's how you describe
Yeah,
it.
I can put my leg behind my head.
So let's talk about how Aquaman is currently doing. Obviously, it's a little soon to say how it will be doing, but there are projections. It made $9 million on Thursday in the United States, which was last night, which made a total of 13.7 for previews, because you guys know it did that early preview day. So 13.7, which is a big number to give you guys a little bit of a comparison.
He's not the high five.
No question. No, I have a question.
I was gonna go for high five. I was like, don't hit
No,
me
it was
hanging.
legitimately a question.
Yeah.
Teach. So, I mean, if you forgive me if you're already going to say this, but do we know how that compares to other DC Thursday nights?
What I can tell you is not how it compares to DC Thursday night, but how it compares to other comic book movies Thursday night.
Okay.
So I was about to say Amazing Spider-Man 2, which made 8.7 on Thursday, ended up making 91.6. So it's pretty similar with the 8.7 to the 9 million, making 91.6 opening weekend. And then Doctor Strange, which made 9.4, which is pretty similar to the 9 on Thursday, ended up making 85 million. So anywhere in between that 85 to 92 range would be what this would be projected at if you were following those standards. However, people are projecting that Aquaman is going to actually make 120 million for
Over
its
the
opening.
5 days.
Over the 5 day.
So, but those
that's
other
extra.
numbers that you were comparing 91, those
These
were
are
3 day
week-
weekends.
3 day weekend.
Okay,
Exactly.
I got it. You got it?
Good
Oh
for you,
my,
man.
thank God. I'm
Good
so
for
sorry.
you.
I hit
Crawling
everything.
on the
I'm
ground.
sorry, guys.
Good,
That was
good,
good.
good. I'm
that's
glad
what
you're back with us.
That's what we've got there. Now,
So, but
Poppins-
obviously, there's a lot of competition this weekend too. Those movies had a little bit more of a free and clear weekend.
huge competition. Let's talk about a little bit of that competition.
Thanks, Rox.
Mary Poppins dropped 17% when Aquaman opened. So that's not that surprising considering it opened on the Wednesday and then people had already gone out to see it. But it is a pretty decent sized drop. Bumblebee opened their Thursday night with 3 million.
Okay.
So that's a third of what Aquaman Thursday night was, which is interesting.
Now, and also, I would say Bumblebee skews a little bit younger, so you have maybe a little bit of a different population that's able to go to that Thursday night screening.
And I also think we've talked
Like
about
if you're in
before.
school, if you're in high school, you're not hitting that
Yeah.
Thursday night screening.
Bumblebee is going to be a little more word of mouth because people are burned by this franchise.
Yeah.
Not that people
Thanks
haven't
for
felt
saying that,
burned by
Roxy.
DC.
Yeah,
Yes,
that's what I'm
true.
saying. Like, people are now, I ask people because I don't feel the hype for Bumblebee. And my friends have seen it, they really enjoy it, but they're saying, like, we've had 5 films that have just been, what they were. But also, a lot of people with DC.
I would
feel
say
they've
they're
been
pretty
burned.
bad. I'm not a big
DC.
fan.
I like the first one.
A lot of people at DC feel they've been burned as well. But still, what's the difference that now Aquaman is apparently doing gangbusters, and Bumblebee is still kind of. It's interesting. I don't know. I don't have an
agree.
answer for it because they seem both two franchises that have had a sword.
I
past.
understand, but maybe Transformers is a little bit more singular, and the fact that it's
There
a
you
different
go.
character, and
Yes.
even though it's DC, less people are aware of the connectivity of DC, I think, and more
Okay.
just.
Yeah.
Oh, true. Let's talk about the craziest stat, though. The thing that I think is the most wild so far
Blow my
is
mind.
that Aquaman has already made its budget back. Because overseas in China, it's made $189 million thus far, totaling it to $266 million worldwide at this point.
I thought it was over 300 at this point.
No, 266, I
Okay,
believe.
and this is as of today, Thursday. You've got
As
Thursday
of, as of Thursday morning.
fresh stats.
Thursday the 20.
So, and we're saying, and what was the talk is that by the 5-day Christmas week,
Right.
they're saying, including a U.S. domestic,
Because nobody's working Monday, Tuesday.
right? They're going to hit like 5
Five,
million.
yeah.
They think 5, solid of by Christmas Day.
500.
Because a lot of the saying this weekend,
500.
500
Yeah.
million. Yeah, they're
No,
saying
just 5 mil.
just 5. They're saying that the early part of the weekend, it's everyone getting shopping, trying to get done. But once Christmas Eve, Christmas Day hits, that's when people go. Because I know my family, we used to see movies on Christmas Day. It was a thing.
Would it be fair to say that even before anything happens with our weekend, it's a hit?
It's a success.
Aquaman is already a success,
Yes.
basically.
So far,
pretty much
so
can't
good.
fail.
Have you guys thought about this? The movie released in China, that was an incredibly smart marketing play because
Very.
all the hype hit before with that.
I know.
As opposed to when you release movies in States, the critics see it, they might not be their cup of tea, so that word of mouth starts going bad. And then by the time it comes out, people are like, well, and now, but we hear the word of mouth because who looks up a China movie review site. No one does. So
Their box office is all you hear about.
Yeah, you hear the box, you don't hear the review.
That's brilliant.
I
What
want
were
to
you gonna
pause
say,
because
Roxy?
Adam, I think you are right. Sam loves movies in the chat says no, it's already over 340 million. G Money says it's at 330 million.
Yeah.
Casey says it's 300.
Because I heard 300
now.
the other day.
So it must have been
300, yeah.
as of last night was before. So interesting.
So this is important because I will say, before we get into what's positive or negative about the film, one thing I did think about the whole time was how well this plays internationally more than any other film. There's a lot of broad strokes kind of storytelling, and it is, again, and I can't say this enough, it is the most visual comic book movie maybe I've ever seen. Like, I'll just say that right out the gate. Visual meaning spectacle. A spectacle, because it's more of a feast for the eyes, is going to play internationally better.
It absolutely. Anytime there's something that we haven't seen before, think about Avatar.
You're right.
When you haven't seen a technology, when you haven't seen a world, people are curious beyond comic book fans, beyond fans of this genre. What have I never seen before? Anybody in the world wants to see something they've never seen, and Aquaman is something we've never seen. Like it, dislike it, love it, hate it, whatever. You've never seen it.
Good points. That was an excellent point.
And I think
you,
Avatar
sir.
is a really clever comparison.
Very much so.
I think so, because in the way that story-wise, we're not seeing anything we haven't seen before.
Yeah.
Right.
And that's not giving anything away.
We're
It's
not
just,
reinventing the wheel.
We're not, and not as from a story point of view, which Avatar, when people criticize Avatar, it's Fern Gully, it's this, it's that, right? Same thing with Aquaman, except that the visuals in this film, I say, make it more than worth the price of going to see this like in a theater. It is a visual spectacle.
I don't know if you're watching this, because the new trend of tons of millennials, Gen Z, is watching a movie on your phone.
Yeah.
Wherever you're going, wherever you're walking, they're watching on their phone. And while I'm very happy to watch Sex and the City on my phone, watching something like Aquaman on your phone, it almost defeats the purpose. So that's why I feel like get your butt to the theater. Anybody who's asking me, because I do have some mixed opinions on this movie, even though I did definitely like it. Anybody who's asking me, is it worth going to the theater? It's almost not worth seeing it if you're not going to the theater.
Kind of agree. It's like, and I would say the same thing was like seeing Avatar not 3D in a theater. I would be like, what's the point?
What's the
Like,
point?
and everyone said this one, you've got to see the biggest screen possible, the biggest IMAX, the 4K, 4X, DX, whatever the sound is. Like, I saw it in a regular standard theater last night. I was like, I've got to see it again in IMAX.
The 4DX I normally think is bull, like with the sounds and stuff, but Aquaman, I would actually like to see this
I've seen
again
a couple
with 4DX.
movies in that. I saw like Mile 22 in one of those sounds like, oh, there's the gunshots coming everywhere around me.
But when they knock you around and stuff and they punch you in the back.
I didn't do that, no.
Oh, no, I'm talking about the 4DX. I saw John Wick and they're punching me. I'm like, this doesn't make the film more immersive.
Okay.
I don't like getting punched during my
But
movies.
I feel like Aquaman, if they have the thing doing this kind of thing, it's...
So in general, because I honestly, before the show, we didn't really talk about how
We have
feeling
not said
about
a thing.
We've not said a word when we walked in the studio
don't
to each
know.
other about it.
So
I read Roxy's tweets a few weeks ago.
that's true.
Yes.
But I want to know, you can't get that much from a tweet. I want to know, how did you guys feel about the movie?
Adam Gertler.
Okay. For me, overall, unfortunately, it's a mixed bag. I certainly wanted to really love this movie more than I did, because the best thing about it is definitely the visuals. The best thing is not Jason Momoa. The best thing is not the story. The best thing is not a villain. The best thing are these incredible like the way they did the underwater, the talk in the underwater, how it looked. That world was great. There was a lot of cliches that I was not down with. A lot of the humor landed flat, and there was a lot of posing, both physical posing and almost like we're doing a beat that we've seen before, but this doesn't seem grounded in its own world, so to speak.
Wow, wild. I would have thought that I predicted that you would have liked this movie best of the four of us.
Well,
You're
I
not
still
saying
might.
you
I haven't
dislike-
heard. I didn't dislike it, but there was a lot of the movie kept taking me out of itself because there was stuff that I just couldn't get on board with so much from like
Story-wise?
a story-wise and script-wise.
Interesting.
That I was like, and it did feel long. It did feel long at
2:25
and
felt
I
long.
love a long movie. I love a long movie, and I love the beginning and the end. Like a lot of people said, like there was a lot of stuff in the middle that I felt could have been trimmed or what. And there was like, there was like so much posturing and posing and a lot of these winking to the cameras. I got the sense that acting is hard, and I don't think our leads are great actors in this movie.
Mike, how'd you feel?
I hated it.
No, you did.
I didn't. Okay, I'm going to say, before I saw it, people said, what do you think you're going to grade it? I say, I'm going to give it a solid B. and I'll give you my grade at the end. I had so much fun in this movie. I felt it was the most comic book movie we've ever seen. Not even just DC. I just felt this was Throne of Atlantis. This was the New 52 Aquaman brought to life.
Mm-hmm.
I felt Mara, I love her.
I think she's
Everyone
star.
was talking about.
Did you
she
remember
was
my
the
tweet?
weak,
That's what all I said
the
was
weak link, this
Amber
and that.
Heard is a star.
Her hair is ridiculous. Her hair
is
never
ridiculous.
once.
No, her hair was ridiculous.
Never once pulled me out of it. I thought she was so good in this movie. Orm, I fell in love with Orm. Patrick Wilson,
Amazing.
for me, made that movie. He chewed the right amount of scenery, but I can't go because we're going to spoilers. The end of it, I thought, we're in the middle of the Lundgren Renaissance or whatever that they call it.
Oh my
Lundgren.
God, he's great. Dolph Lundgren is actually his best acting
I love
ever.
the fact that they went for it. They didn't leave anything behind. They didn't go, you know what? Let's tease the waters, and if people are on board, we're going to give them more. We had him giving a conversation with the crustacean fish.
Yeah.
Like,
No,
not
they swung for the fence for sure.
and for me, when you do that, I don't want to go like, oh, I really want to see this. Like 2.5 hours, people are like, we didn't need Black Manta's origin. I was like, yeah, I wanted that. We didn't, we could. Yeah.
Make sure to spoiler free. I know
Right.
that's fine.
That's
Reminding us all.
I love what they did. I love the humor does not work for me. But again, knowing me in the panel with DC, I don't need humor in any of my DC films. I don't. It's jokes like the peeing on the thing.
That
I
you
was
saw
like,
in the trailer.
We saw in the trailer. We should have cut that. Like that was we don't need it.
I like that.
I would have loved to have seen them not showing the reveal of the full suit till the movie, but it's the marketing. You had to
you
do
have
it. I just had fun. And when people said it's Flash Gordon underwater, and I love Flash Gordon, so to me that was Flash. Like Mara, her suit was made of a jellyfish. I'm like, that is just brilliant to me.
Yeah.
Visual. I had a blast. It's not my top film, and we'll get to what
Yeah.
it is for me.
Yeah, well, that's
but
great.
again, I'm not an Aquaman fan.
It sounds like
I'm not an Aquaman lover, so it
sounds
didn't,
like we both had fun. I'm maybe skewing a bit more
Yeah.
negative, and you're a bit more positive. But I don't want to. I certainly didn't hate this film, but the thing that for me that keeps it back from being as great as it should be, again, to me, like the visuals are kind of like the not most important thing for me. Typically, I want story, I want character, I want those squelchy, geeky moments of heroics that I just get caught up in, and then the visuals support that. But the visuals are such an incredible achievement. And there's so much great James Wan stuff and some great monster stuff. Monster stuff.
And
Agreed.
can we
So
say across the board that CGI is phenomenal?
It's
in this
great.
Movie. There is no like.
I thought there were a couple moments.
Which,
of,
do you want to go into?
Roxy, do you want to go into your general?
I'll give my general. In general, I also had fun with this movie. I also thought it was too long. I think I'm a way bigger fan of the performances than most the critics or fans that I have heard. I loved every performance in this. I literally loved everyone. I think Amber Heard is a star in this movie. She
she's
stole
phenomenal.
it for me. The whole thing. I
know
fell in
what I
love.
didn't see.
I fell in love with her. I know people were talking about the lack of chemistry between her and Momoa. I thought
That's
that
the
it was
thing.
so heated and there's so much chemistry. I don't know where that's coming from. I thought Momoa was a perfect Aquaman. Patrick Wilson, who by the way I got to interview them all for the press junket, but he could not have been a cooler dude. They were all great. James Wan, Amber Heard, Jason Momoa, and Patrick Wilson were all amazing, but Patrick was the nicest guy. And to watch what he did on screen, so different than that. He just
The way he was dancing around that water was
he's
the coolest
awesome.
thing in the world.
I love him. I love Willem Dafoe. I love every performance in this. I did not have one problem with it. I had some issues with story, and that's okay. This made me really excited for Aquaman's future in the DC and for an Aquaman 2 and for down the line, wherever we see him, whatever he does, whatever Amber Heard does, because, I think that she could be more involved in a Justice League situation
Of
or
course.
whatever it is. I just am so excited for the future, even though to me there were some holes and some of the jokes did fall flat.
Yeah.
And some of the moments were a little bit of a letdown. There was heart at the beginning. We lost a little bit of heart towards the middle, and then there was heart at the end. So for me, this was a good movie. Not great. Good. Definitely good.
Yeah. Okay, yeah, that's a very general, broad take.
Yep.
Specifically, yeah, I think that's what I feel. I agree very much. I think maybe some of the performances, I did not think there was great chemistry between them.
You are not alone. A lot of people saw no chemistry. I don't get it.
And I just think that when you had the two of them up there up front, I did not get the movie star magic. And there was like, there were times where Momoa's delivery, it just felt so canned. Like they were very like these quippy one-liners, even from his first line on the screen. Like, to me, that's supposed to be like an applause line, and it felt like it dropped a little bit like a lead balloon in my theater, where like they wanted to get on and like, because they were laughing sometimes, but when you like come out with a couple of jokes and they fall flat, it's almost harder to get everybody back on your side, because then people start looking at you with the side eye kind of thing.
Yeah. Should we get into our spoilers?
Yeah,
Let's jump into it. Yeah, let's get
into it.
Let's dive in.
Let's get specific.
Oh,
here we go again.
But before we talk about spoilers, before we go really off the deep end, perhaps we should remind you that after whatever you do, you see Aquaman, you come home, you're like, I still need some more DC. All you could do, if you don't have DC Universe, you can get it today. And then you have 11, maybe 12 hours of original Titans content coming at you.
Very true. So if you're a DC fan, which if you're watching our Aquaman review right now,
Hopefully.
you probably are, you're definitely going to want to check out the latest live action series, Titans. It's available now on DC Universe. The series premiered on October 12th, and new episodes are available to stream every Friday, which is today, by the way. So if you're watching this live, then make sure you check out the 11th episode, which just aired. It's the first original series to launch on DC Universe, and it follows a group of young, soon-to-be superheroes, including, but definitely not limited to, because we've seen a whole motley crew of people, Dick Grayson, Rachel Ruff, Corey Anders, and Gar Logan. But we also got all of Doom Patrol, and we've got our Hawk and Doves of the world, who are great. The group gets caught up in a conspiracy to bring about hell on Earth. They become a surrogate family and team of heroes, and it's a gritty take on the Teen Titans franchise from executive producers Akiva Goldsman, Jeff Johns, Greg Berlanti, Greg Walker, Sarah Schechter, and John Fawcett. Some pretty big hitters there, by the way. Titans explores one of the most popular comic book teams ever. It's available only on DC Universe, and it's on all of your favorite devices, so whatever you got, not to worry, it is there. It's only $7.99 a month. Or, speaking of the holiday time, if you want to get somebody a yearly membership, you actually get 20% off, which is a great deal. So join the Ultimate DC membership at DCUniverse.com. That is DCUniverse.com.
All the Batman animated series episodes are up there. All the Flash 90 series, Super Friends.
Human Target's on there.
Comic books, Human Target.
And remember, they announced when they're doing their original animated movies now, their time and day, they're going to be launching there.
So day and day, if you saw part one of the death of Superman, of the reign of the Superman as the next part, that is going to be released on DC Universe the same day it's released everywhere on Blu-ray and digital.
Which pretty much makes it worth the cost, just that.
Just because you'll get 3 of those at least a year from DC. So anyway, that's pretty awesome. Now let's talk about spoilers. Aquaman.
Spoilers. This is spoilers.
If I see a single comment in the chat, or if I see on iTunes or YouTube, somebody's like, "What? They spoiled it and they didn't tell us."
You mother,
You spoil. We are saying, this is me. We're spoiling. That's me.
That's spoiling.
So now you know.
Now you have a limited amount of time, so we should really jump into this.
Dive in.
Sorry, we're diving in.
Watch as I dive in. You don't think that's a waste of time?
No, that's definitely not a waste of time.
Thank you. All right, so let's talk spoilers.
Okay, so
favorite and least favorite things. What are your favorite moments, least favorite moments? What irked you?
Okay, my favorite moments in general are these grand underwater action set pieces that come out of nowhere and are just spectacle. Jaw-dropping, the way we talked about Orm, the way he like moves around as he's addressing people, his overall look. played very well by Patrick Wilson.
So you liked underwater better than you liked the on land stuff.
Yes, to me, like when we were underwater, I was like, this is why this movie exists. This is what, and I like the lighthouse too. I love the visual, the classic comic book visuals of the lighthouse.
The story going on at the lighthouse was my favorite story in the entire movie.
Yes.
With his dad and with like the splash part of it all.
Yep.
That was
Splash, exactly.
That
We
was
got a
the
nice
heart.
splash.
That's
That
a
was
great
the
reference.
heart of it all. That was where it was.
You bring up Splash. There are so many movies that they pulled from for this that I loved. Splash. I got a lot of Romancing the Stone vibe from the middle part of the film. And
Yes.
that's why a lot of people don't like the second act. I love the second act. Romancing the Stone for me is such a great film. So to see this, I think when people said Uncharted and Indiana Jones, that's what they're meaning, but it wasn't that for me. It was Romancing the Stone.
Well, because there are a few scenes in the middle, what we're talking about is where they sort of go on this quest to find the trident.
And they're on dry land. And it's this
Great.
kind of antagonistic...
It's the two of them,
yeah.
right? It is Romancing the Stone. It's Kathleen Turner's character,
Yeah,
Michael Douglas,
yes.
kind of like hating,
Will they, won't
at
they?
each other.
Yeah.
Will they? Won't they? At each other. Yeah.
How did you guys feel about some of that mixed with the more jokey tone of like people playing of octopuses playing the
Okay,
drums?
let's address this.
Okay.
Because I didn't know, I know the character of Topo, his pet octopus, and hearing that was such uproar about, people in there. If you like a movie with an octopus playing drums.
Right.
It was a transition scene.
Yes.
It wasn't
Beautiful
like,
shot,
it wasn't like
actually.
they're talking and talking,
Beautiful shot.
and Arthur leans over and there's an octopus with
Okay, but
just
I'm not
walking away.
Mike, I'm not just talking about that though. I'm talking about also like the way that music combined with some of the movements, like how every time that Aquaman turns around, it's like boom, boom, and like he has like these very intense panning, sweeping moments with
Those are the kind of posy things that didn't quite work
Didn't
for me.
work for you.
That's what I'm saying. When it was like posing, where it was like it felt like it was cueing me to do something.
Okay.
And then still so. Keeping with the positive,
The two
general
positives,
that octopus shot alone, because I had heard about that, and then people made it sound like it was this jumps the shark moment. Very good analogy to use for this film. Not at all. That doesn't
Monday,
take you out of more.
Friday,
The
happy
world
days.
underwater is believable. I believed everything that was going on under there.
did?
Even crustacean people. Like
Yes.
I was on board for all that
I was
stuff.
so happy that we did not, and we knew we weren't going to have all the bubbles coming out of the mouth.
No, the
but
way
this
they
speaking-
made the slight effect that they
Yep.
used for underwater.
I didn't like
was,
the sound.
I liked the
I
sound.
liked it too.
I didn't
I
And
like
that
the
was
sound.
something I was like, oh, they're just not going to acknowledge it. And also the look. The look, everybody, a lot of people might say like, oh, it looks like they're all in like a video game the whole time, because when they're underwater,
The look was amazing.
it looks amazing.
The look was
But
absolutely
I could see you
amazing.
being on board or off because it looks like they're underwater.
Speaking of looks, most of the costumes were phenomenal. I loved the way that 90% of the people looked at 90% of the times. A couple of things that I didn't particularly like. Her hair did bother me. Mara's hair did bother me. And Nicole Kidman's quick change, where she comes back in this robe of all robes after being stuck for so long, and then she is all of a sudden in this like, I was like, wait, when did you change that? Why are we wearing that? But that was what it was. Other than those two specific things, I thought that the costume design and was just so good.
the swimming, the way like
move.
like Orm is delivering
How
this
you go up.
rallying the troops kind
Yeah.
of speech, right? And he's not just like walking around a room. He's using every part of the space of water and making it look so natural, and it's balletic. And I don't know how they did it. I guess it was a lot of wire stuff, but it was incredible. And you're right. To get people to go to a movie theater, you need to provide something that is almost like a ride that feels physical.
Right.
That's the feeling I got with Into the Spider-Verse, and I would say that even more so with Aquaman, as far as just an engulfing spectacle. These are all the things I really liked about the movie, and there's a lot to like.
What are some of the things that you really loved about the movie?
Amber Heard,
Same.
Patrick Wilson.
Same.
Momoa? I will say this. Momoa to me was from the beginning, even back in Justice League and BVS, I'm like, oh, this is a different take. But we got the journey of a hero. We saw he's this, and Juan he's okay, this is my Momoa. I'm not going to try and make him something he's not. I'm going to push into this. The scene with him in the bar fight where you're just like, oh, here comes the typical bar fight. And what it turned into, you're like, that is brilliant.
The selfie.
Funny
Yeah,
thing
so
about
good.
that,
With the pink
when I saw
phone.
it in the trailer,
Yeah.
I thought it was a fight, but when I saw it in the movie, I knew it was coming.
You did?
Yeah.
So I had no idea.
I had
And
no
I wonder
idea.
why that is, but I guess the way it played because we had already seen the thing of him being praised in the paper. That was the piece of
Okay, so I didn't see any
information
of that.
that we didn't have in the trailer,
Yeah.
and so I just thought that would be weird if these guys want to fight this guy that just kind of helps people, and they
Yeah.
didn't. And I liked it, even though I saw where it was going.
I
Sorry.
loved the ending. I loved Nicole Kidman coming out. This Nicole Kidman, with what happened with her, because I had no idea that happened at the end, and all that comes back. That is
You
what
had no idea what happened?
that she's alive.
Oh, you
in
did
the
it?
trench.
Wow.
No,
You had to know it's Nicole Kidman who's
I
got
I
it.
didn't know.
I knew
really
she
didn't?
was coming.
No, I didn't.
I was not.
You know, I
You don't
didn't,
take the biggest
or I
star.
didn't know that happens that way because I was like, okay, and I know when she arrives at the end and the two brothers and the family. For me, DC is about family. Everyone, you know, Wayne's, the Kents, Diana and her mother. Now it's Arthur and his family, and it just hit right for me. That was like my boys and
Cyborg
Orm,
and his dad.
and Orm who wanted. Cyborg and his dad, and Orm who wanted, you see his point of view, kind of like Thanos. You see, he's like, oh, we are destroying his ocean, and he wants.
Oh,
But to see them,
100%.
but then he's on his knees and he sees his mother, and it's not like I'll have my revenge, and he's just like, I tried and I failed.
I
And
felt like trash about humans.
yeah, it's like
I
so
was
all
like,
those,
oh, we
and then
suck.
but we see Momoa becoming the Aquaman.
Yeah.
He's becoming the hero, and that just read for me, and I those, and then she shows up at the end in his father, and I was just like.
Not had heart to it.
Yeah,
something we haven't mentioned at all, and I'm curious why it hasn't been brought up. Maybe you guys didn't like, maybe it wasn't the strongest part for you guys. How did you feel about Black Manta?
I really, again, I think the best thing about Black Manta was how it looked. There was a lot of, again, with
I
his
loved the way he
character,
looked.
I felt, not to get into the negative stuff, but it was just a lot of, again, posturing and stuff that came off as kind of corny and forced. He was even like posing and grimacing at the camera in really cliche ways, which is, I get it's comic book, but like the way he was like, I will get you Aquaman kind of stuff.
Did you have an issue with the dialogue, with the script, with the direction, or with the actor?
I think a combination, honestly, because a lot of it just felt like people like making a pose and making a face.
Okay.
And that was a recurring thing throughout the film.
Yeah, I feel
You and I are always the same side of the two different sides of the same coin.
Yeah.
Because we both come from a background of comic books
Yes.
where you get the splash panel of him, every single shot, almost shot, were splash panels
Yes.
that could have been framed on a wall.
Yeah.
And I love that. And I love that. I love the backstory. My friend who I went with was like, you didn't need a backstory. You didn't need Aquaman's backstory. He's just a pirate. I'm like, no, I want to know that. Like that when he's leaving.
Well, that's not what you're saying.
No, I know he's not.
Yeah.
But he's like, for story-wise, where Arthur's like, the seas, you kill people, help yourself. And he leaves him to die.
I love that. That was a great character choice.
I love the
Brilliant.
fact.
It was brilliant.
I
Makes
loved,
him different than our Supermans.
And you see the Manta and the costumes. Like, how did he do this? To see the Atlanteans give him the technology.
that was so cool. And the scene.
I hated the montage music. The montage building
I
it.
actually didn't like a lot of the music in this.
We'll talk about that. But to see him build it, I was like, that is brilliant. The fact that you see where the text
we
coming
see him
from.
paint it,
Yes.
like the whole thing. Because how many times have you guys watched a TV show or a
Right.
movie and you're like, how did they do that?
Right.
At what point did you make that costume, bro?
No,
and I
you
loved
need
watching that.
verisimilitude in the world that you're building.
And
You
I
need
loved
to-
watching his backstory because not only do we need Aquaman's origin story, but I needed Black Manta's a little bit, and I needed to know what happened and why he hated him so much.
And there was enough Black Manta in the film.
Yeah.
People were saying like, oh, he's
I don't-
hardly in it. Like he was
for
in
me,
it.
Black
just
Manta.
fine.
I don't know if he could be the whole film, like Black Manta versus Aquaman. Like, so him being the secondary villain, but the fight scenes with him and they were fantastic.
That one
the way
scene
they
with-
shot those fights
with Mara running across the building tops, you didn't like that?
No, I loved it,
Oh,
but
I
we
loved-
saw all that at Comic-Con.
We did, yeah.
We
Oh.
saw that entire scene. So when it read, I was like, oh, I've seen.
Did you see
all
the
of
wine
this.
part
No,
at Comic-Con?
which was awesome.
dope. That was
That was
so
awesome.
cool. I love
what
that.
part?
The wine.
which-
Oh yeah. Well, I liked.
but my gut was just like,
a lot of
"That's
the
so
stuff
much
that-
money.
You're like the rosé. Ugh.
Millennials love the rose.
I loved Mira manipulating water.
Oh,
effects.
that was-
and also another thing I really, really loved was how they eventually had Arthur talking to the fish. And I like that it's only him that could talk to the fish, and then they actually had the Super Friends.
the bubbles.
Circles. Right. They did it twice, and that was done well.
Another thing that had a lot of heart for me that I loved was watching Willem Dafoe train Aquaman.
Yeah.
I thought that was really strong.
A lot of people and I talk. It's funny because I don't know how I'm going to see movies going out from now on, because I see movies, and a lot of the people that I always go to these films with are writers. So when they come out, they pick it apart with like, what would have done better, what would I have done better. And I get it, because when I watch a movie as an actor, sometimes I'm like, well, if I was in this role, I would have done this choice. So it's hard to do this. So it takes it out of it for me. Like, they didn't like all that backstory with Volku. Right. And I was just like, I love that. And for me, yes, it's a 2.5-hour film, but like with Infinity War, I wanted to see the Steve and Bucky reunion. And the filmmaker said we had to cut stuff for time.
Right.
I would have seen for 3 hours that extra stuff. So we got with Volku, the backstory. I love that they gave it to us.
Not to make fun of your friends, because I'm sure they're great people, and in fact, I know a lot of them, but what the smartest writers do and what the smartest people in the business do is they say, what did this movie do right? Not what would I have done better.
Oh, I agree.
Because if we're picking apart Aquaman, which, by the way, all three of us at this table clearly at least liked to very much liked.
Yes.
If you're picking it apart and you're talking about the fact that it's Friday morning right now, and this movie has made back its money.
It's hitting with people.
It's resonating. People are liking it. It's the same thing, and I know this is crossing the aisle for a second, but it's an easy take to have that you don't like Venom and they did everything wrong and what you would have done better. I would have done a lot of things better, different, whatever, even though I liked the movie. But it's harder to say, why is this resonating with people? What did they do right? And looking at Aquaman, regardless of how you personally feel about the movie, it's doing a lot right.
Yeah.
A ton.
More so than Justice League, which is so shocking, right? Where you had everything at the wall, and it's like still mind blowing. But that's the game of this business right now, is figuring out why are these different takes, why are these deeper cuts
Justice
being
League
successful.
feels small compared to Aquaman to me.
Yeah. Oh, definitely.
It feels tiny.
And you know
what?
like,
Justice League.
It's amazing to me.
Aquaman made me like Justice League less, and I know that's kind of an unfair
I know what you're saying.
comment.
That's not an unfair comment.
But seeing like what a world can be, was so amazing for me.
Yeah. So do we want to go around saying what we didn't like so much? I know you don't have a lot of time. What's the best use of...
Let's talk a little bit about some of our qualms with it.
Okay, so I had a fair amount of qualms with it, and I think... to me, and this is just because we're so spoiled, we get so many of these great comic book movies, and they're constantly changing the game. So from a story and character point of view, this doesn't do anything to forward or change the game. So if what you want is beats that you've seen before done better in other movies, from a character point of view, that's disappointing. But then all the action and stuff and the underwater is so unique, so different. I don't love Momoa as much as I want him to. I didn't love Amber Heard as much as I wanted to. Part of it is, I think, the dialogue. You know, when we've had Batman Begins, it's hard because that did something in such an incredibly different way by a filmmaker that was completely autonomous. And even this film, he had Momoa already cast. James Wan didn't cast Momoa. And that's not to say that he wouldn't or he disagreed with that casting, but there's even an element of this film that is not completely James Wan's, that he did inherit some of it. And I think what he brought to the table was incredible. But there's a lot of eye-rolling moments in this movie. And there is a corniness to it. So I think that's going to be the biggest negative, but it is definitely fun.
A lot of the music did not help those situations for me. And there were some times where there would be a note or two even that I was like, okay, I get that you guys are trying to evoke a certain emotion out of me, and that's not quite working. Tonally, this movie worked 80% of the time for me. And kind of like Mike was saying before, I actually am somebody who likes infusing humor into a lot of these films, especially when it's character humor, because some people are funnier than others, right? This movie, at some points, the humor fell a little bit, and it would have been better without. So that, for me, was some of the weaker stuff. I didn't mind the second act, but it didn't have the same heart that the first act and third act had. And for me, going into something like this, where we started so strong with such a beautiful story, I needed that heart to be carried through, as opposed to just like an action adventure, which is what it turned into at some point, which I get why Aquaman would do that. But I wanted a little bit more like pulling at me.
Yeah.
Why am I invested in this and make me care? But I was invested in the characters, so that held me through until the ending. But those would be some of my weaker things.
Nice. Mike?
Let me ask you guys, because maybe this is an old guy thing. When someone says there's a needle drop, and people say there's 3 needle drops in this film that really take you out of it. What is a needle drop? Is that when
Are you saying you could hear a pin drop?
No, it's like a needle drop. Do they mean like the needle drops on the record and it starts a song?
Scratch
That's what I
off,
think.
like in the middle of the song, it scratches
The 3 pop
off.
songies that they tried to put in killed it for me. In the moment, it's like when they're walking out of the water and there was that Toto Africa Pitbull thing. I'm just like, oh, this is terrible. I wanted a score at that point.
Okay.
I agree.
I think those 3 films, and I don't know if that's Juan as a filmmaker. Those 3, there's 3 scores.
I think I
there's
like
3
that, by the way.
songs.
I think I remember hearing Africa and thinking,
Yeah, there's 3
cool.
No, I struggle
musical
with that.
score that aren't the score that are lyrical songs that I was like, nope, this is, I don't like it. It was, so that I did not like. I do not care for, and I think he's funny on, like, was it Fresh Off the Boat, the actor?
Yeah, a lot of people didn't think.
Him and Ant-Man and Wasp, and now this, I'm like, I'm not on board with your comedy, friend. It is what he does. And he was just adding the scenes. And that
It was the same thing as Ant-Man and the Wasp. He did the same stuff.
That's
almost,
the same
right?
shtick. So maybe that's his thing as an actor.
Yeah.
And that's what you're known for.
Here's
and
the
then
thing,
they bring
though.
them in. But
He's
all
good.
of
I've
his,
seen him.
all
He
of his
was
stuff was
cast though, and so I can't blame him for that. I
Yeah.
blame
But all
them
his-
for casting him because that's what he brings to the
right,
table.
and that's not his fault. So
Yeah.
he knows what he does, but it was so wacky, and it was just his stuff was added in reshoots. You could tell it was that stuff on TV. Like you needed the BVS, Neil deGrasse Tyson, those real personalities to ground it. Where he was just kind of this over the top. Atlantis is real, and I'm just like,
Right.
it just didn't work for me.
And there was a few tangential threads to Justice League. You defeated Steppenwolf.
That was fine. I
You know,
thought-
you threw that in there.
Yeah.
You kept it in the same world.
barely, and I was so happy with that.
it was just it's a nod like, hey, we exist. This happened.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so when Mira shows up at the lighthouse, like you have the fact that they have met a little bit,
it
but they
wasn't-
really don't know each other as well.
Right.
It was a little weird because in Justice League you felt like they did know each other better than they did in
Yeah.
Aquaman. It was almost like the status had flip flopped.
For a second there, I was like, oh, she's just walking up and talking. And we're like, oh no, they've met.
Yes.
They know each other.
Yeah.
There's oh, you're gonna bother me again. I'm not coming back to Atlantis. I'm not hearing any of this crap.
Yeah.
So the record. And again, it's like you said, it's a casting. It's not an actor thing. He's got his thing. And
He
he's
did
making
him.
a living.
Yeah.
So that's his thing. It's like when you bring The Rock, you know what you're getting. So
Yes.
it is a casting thing. I think they would have done differently with that. But those tough and the humor did fall flat for me. There was several times, and maybe someone said it's like, well, maybe a different actor in the role would have been able to make that humor. It's like, well, you've got Momoa, you're not changing that, so maybe not do the humor.
I think you're absolutely right, and that's that's what I mean when I'm like the acting, and you really see how hard it is to be a great actor, how hard it is to be like a Hugh Jackman or any of these guys that like take you and totally ground you and bring you into this reality. But there's also few people that look like they're drawn on the comic book page, like Cavill and Momoa.
Yeah.
I don't know that they're the most versatile actors in the world, but they physically embody, like when he's in that orange costume at the end, he looks like not even the
Those
comic book, he
shots-
looks like the Justice League cartoon with the shoulders that are wider
Those
than he
shots-
is tall Aquaman.
You're just like, and I love the fact that we're kind of DC's doing this thing now where it's like the last shot is the hero shot, like they did in Wonder Woman flying to the
Right.
screen, and you get those hero shots with him, Momoa. That like some of those moves with him when he's like on the battle with him. I know we're going back to we're talking about what we don't like, but that end battle with him and Orm, I love Orm.
Yeah, I love Orm too, and I
Orm.
love that battle. And the one thing I'll say before I leave too is that again, when I was talking to James Wan about how you fix the perception of Aquaman being this goofy guy, this guy that people have written off as a joke, and he said this is why we cast Jason Momoa. Because you can't look at that and think goofy, like
Right.
And if that's the reason you cast him, that worked.
Oh,
That for me played.
I do also want you to rank all your DCU films starting with Man of Steel before you leave, if you could.
So I am very unpopular, as you guys know. My opinions are very, very
Roxy's hot
unpopular.
take.
but
here
it's
we
your
go.
opinion.
Yeah.
And that's
Yeah.
allowed.
Yeah,
be
so they're
wrong.
unpopular.
It's your-
My number one is still, and I'm going to go top to bottom because that's what's easiest to do in my brain, even though the smarter
Number
way
one.
is everyone. My number one is Wonder Woman. Absolutely, without a doubt. My number two is Suicide Squad. I know that's not a popular
Roxy
one.
coming in with the hot take.
Hot
The
take.
rewatchability for me, and not best, favorite. We're talking.
Yeah,
favorite,
just what
not
you
best.
love, yeah.
I have such a fun time every time I watch Suicide Squad. It's so weird and so whatever, but the rewatchability is there for me. Number three would be Aquaman. This just clinched the number three spot. After that would be Justice League. because I still did enjoy that movie. After that would be BVS, and then Man of Steel is my last.
Okay.
Roxy, I love it. I love that you got a take like that. You stick by it. Good for you.
But I don't think there's a single other person in the world who
No, there
agrees
is.
with that.
Hey, it's like Venom. People love Suicide Squad.
I
Yeah,
really
there are
like
people that
that
love it.
movie.
I just really like it. Like, even now,
They love it.
after so many times of making fun of the Enchantress dance, every time I watch it, I giggle.
It
and I know
starts to
that's
take
not,
on a Rocky Horror
yeah,
almost.
it's not the
The first
intended,
45 minutes of that movie, I love.
Yeah,
I love the first 45
it's not
minutes.
They didn't get their desire, their intention. It was not did not come across. But every time I watch it, like if I'm sitting there and I'm eating ice cream on the couch, I'm hanging out, I'm watching
You're
it.
leaving it on.
Yes, 100 out of 100 times because it's fun.
And that's why movies are awesome.
Yeah,
That's why I love them.
yeah, and I love Will Smith and I love Margot Robbie, and just watching them do their thing, it's like, yeah, I'm in. Okay, guys. Happy Merry Christmas, Happy New Year. I love you guys very much. Thank you for watching DC Movie News for the entire year. They are not leaving, but I am, so I'm just saying you guys have been the most amazing for 4 years. 4 years.
4 years we've been here.
Friends of ours, and we literally couldn't do it without you.
More years than there were movies released in the DC
You've
extended
been through
universe.
us through the really
Yeah.
lean stuff too, man.
And stuff.
Mostly been lean.
We got a
Yes.
couple more movies coming next year. I can't wait to see this show continue to grow. And thank you guys and to Jonny for doing this with me. I love you guys, and happy end of 2018.
Wonderful holiday.
Yeah, you
Follow her at Roxy Striar, everyone.
Oh yeah, that too.
All around.
Well, I'll hit you up when we leave.
She'll tell you about
All right.
Love you guys.
smoking
sweetheart.
weed and stuff.
That's true.
All the
Talk about
things.
The
Suicide
Devil's
Squad.
Cabbage.
The Devil's Cabbage.
I heard that and I was like, the Devil's Cabbage. That is perfect. All right, we're gonna go down here. Here we go. All right, so what are we still talking about? You and me, my friend.
Okay,
the
so-
two sides, two different. what's
I
it?
know.
Opposite sides of the same coin. Is that what it
Opposite
is?
sides of the same coin.
All right, so what do we-
Former Schmodown comrades.
Oh Jesus! Here we are on this table together.
Oh my God, I can't stand you.
Oh God.
So yeah, the other thing that I want to say, I guess my big negative thing that I
still on
agreed
negative.
with,
Okay.
I agreed with somebody about that second act stuff, the finding that stuff, the going through the desert. We did see a lot of that stuff in the trailers, and it didn't really
Right.
go anywhere for me. And it was just this like, you must find the trident
Yeah.
kind of like, what do they call that? Like a MacGuffin kind of
Right,
like,
right.
it's, all right.
What would you have felt? Because I thought like. It
But I've
was,
seen that a million times before.
Right,
Like,
what
all right,
would
you
you have
must find
thought?
the trident. Like,
So
I don't know.
They're in that cool little town. What if they went to like a church, found some catacombs, and went down there? It was just like in the desert.
What?
They
It just,
were in a city and then the desert. It was just condense that.
Mikey,
Condense those.
if I had to put my finger on why that stuff didn't work for me,
Yes.
it's just it felt like they were doing the beats of what we need to do to take this around the world and feel epic,
Okay.
rather than feeling organic
Gotcha,
in any way
gotcha.
to the world of the movie. And listen, guys, I know it's called Aquaman, and it is inherently silly, and there is a silliness that James Wan leaned into it. All I can say is many different kinds of movies work or don't work, but there's a magic mojo, and they bring you in. Into the Spider-Verse goes bug nutty off logical places, and the third act of that film doesn't even exist on a physical plane.
Right.
But if you're sucked into the world, it works. If it works, it works. If it doesn't, it doesn't. And this was a lot of stutter stops for me. If I had to rank them, this is not easy for me to do.
I don't know where I'm going to do this yet.
Because
Go for it.
it's very clustered. This is how I'm going to rank them right now. If I'm thinking of the films that I want to watch most or the least, the bottom for me is Suicide Squad. That's easy. Not a film I enjoy or enjoy ironically. Then next is BVS theatrical cut. It just is too much of a downer. And I just can't recognize a lot of the characters as I love them and want them to be. But then above that, I'm going to put Aquaman.
Oh.
Yes.
So you went Suicide Squad, BVS,
Theatrical cut.
then Aquaman.
Aquaman.
Wow.
Then above that, I'm putting the extended cut of BVS.
Wow.
And then I'm putting Man of Steel above that. And then I'm putting Wonder Woman
Where's
at the
Justice
top.
League?
Oh, I forgot Justice League.
I was waiting. I was like, it was working high.
Justice League is going to go behind Aquaman before BVS theatrical cut.
Okay.
So I liked Justice League better than the BVS theatrical cut. I like the extended cut of BVS better than Aquaman.
Okay.
And then I like Man of Steel more than extended cut of BVS. And then this is so hard to go in this direction. And then it was Man of Steel and then Wonder Woman at the top. I think Wonder Woman.
I don't know
is,
what I do.
But it's very tight in there, guys. It is very tight in there.
You know, I'm like,
And Aquaman could rise up.
Wonder
in that.
Woman's my top.
Okay.
Suicide Squad, then Justice League are my bottom. I don't know if I really even think about the theatrical cut of BVS anymore. So I've got Man of Steel,
Just throw that out there.
Ultimate
Okay.
Cut, and Aquaman. And I've only seen Aquaman once, so I'm going to hold off until I see Aquaman a couple more times.
Okay.
Because it's high right now.
So where are you putting it at like 2 right now?
BVS is such a dense movie for me that I love, but I will never just put it in just to watch it. I have to sit down and really invest. Like, it won't be like Aquaman I'll throw on like I throw on Infinity War. I'm just like, I just want to see some cool scenes. I remember this scene. It's just fun. It's an enjoyable time. BVS, I'm like, it's not happy. I don't walk out of that going, man, I'm like, it gets heavy for me, BVS. Yeah. But I love it.
But the Ultimate Cut fixes a lot of the Clark problems that I have.
Man of Steel, to me, is still phenomenal.
It is really rewatchable. It's a kind of film that I was not as positive about, and over the years, I've kind of enjoyed it more and more. It has aged really well with me, and I mean, yeah, Wonder Woman's still at the top right now, but even that
the
is
gold standard to me.
It's a good standard, but there's problems with Wonder Woman too. Like none of these are perfect films.
No,
you know, none of these are Batman Begins or Dark Knight. None of them. You know,
Wonder Woman for me it gets up there. It does.
I wouldn't put it above Batman Begins or Dark Knight. I might put it above Dark Knight Rises.
I wouldn't put it above Batman Begins. I'd put it above Dark Knight for me.
Wonder Woman, you would?
Yeah.
Okay, that's a hot take.
It's a hot
respect
take
that because that is
by,
a fiery take.
I will stand by with a flamethrower to shoot that hot take.
Dark Knight is one of my favorite movies.
I'll
period.
say
End of sentence.
I've said it before. Dark Knight to me is a phenomenal film. It's not a phenomenal Batman film.
Okay.
If you took him out of that cowl and cape and put him in a leather jacket and a mask, it is the same film. Batman needs to be comic booky. Like Chicago was Chicago.
Okay. Listen,
there was no
different
Gotham.
Take. Well, this is why you enjoyed Aquaman more than I did in some ways.
Yeah.
You know, I guess I want
I love my comic.
I want the thing to work cinematically, and whatever it is, I just don't want it to take me out of it too much. I think I loved Diana more than I liked Arthur. I feel I really do pick up on Jason Momoa's limitations as an actor.
And that is a valid point.
And I think he's a great personality and a great guy. And I'm talking about, you're talking to a fan of Arnold Schwarzenegger movies back in the day. He's not a great actor, but used properly, Arnold is amazing. And I'm sure the same is true of Momoa. Like as Khal Drogo, he was freaking incredible. He was perfect. He didn't have to do that much.
A lot of people, and I don't know how you feel. Like I'm not invested in Aquaman as a character, so. I didn't have a high. I don't want to say a high bar, and it didn't.
But you're not.
I hate that. I'm going in with low expectations. That's ridiculous. I just had nothing invested or to look like I wasn't. I didn't read every single issue of Aquaman. So I know. Like,
same. But when the Marvel model does it right, they're informing people about a character. Guardians of the Galaxy is always the go-to, right? Like nobody cared about that. Now it's the hottest property.
Well, let me
in the world.
say this then to that. Not to compare whatever, but this film and why I again. Swung for the fences. Like we had him having conversations with a lobster, Orm, like that whatever that crustacean was, and then the Fisher King. And not to again, here we go against Marvel, but it's like we've never seen the Marvel characters. We had the Sovereign, which were gold humans. Right. We had Gamora, which were green humans. It's just like we've never seen them push that envelope of talking to these ridiculous species of aliens.
I will give you Groot and Rocket Raccoon.
Sure.
And who work very well.
Right.
And again, the difference there is that the Marvel films tend to dig a little bit deeper on the character stuff and making you get to love those people. And that is their intention, and they state it. They don't look as good as some of these films. Like, there's no Marvel film that feels as... Even Infinity War, which is like the most spectacular of Marvel films, it has that great Marvel look, which I love. But this underwater stuff is crazy.
That's
like,
what I'm saying.
I don't know what James Cameron is going to do to compete with this stuff.
Well, I don't know what Marvel's going to do when they want to do a Namor film.
Well, they don't even have the rights to Namor. He's on the back. But yeah, you're right. So... It's tough. It's tough. And I don't know how Aquaman is going to age on my list because I just have seen it. And a lot of what makes me like these films is rewatchability.
I'll say that because a lot of people well, Mike, you love Justice League when you first saw it. And you guys were right because I did. And I let the hype get to me. And that's why I'm going to kind of step back before I see this film a couple more times. And before I give you a definitive, like, this is what I view. Because Justice League, when I watch it now, I'm like, oh, you see the seams. You see the Whedon, and you see this Sneider just doing this the entire film. And you're just like, you saw what could have been great. And then this happened, and you saw, and I'm like, but for Aquaman, to me, I didn't see that. I didn't see it's seamless as far as the and again, going back to what I just said, it's not a knocking Marvel. It's just when I go to a movie and I view stuff like, I'm like you said, the visuals, like, the Fisher King and all that stuff. And then the way that the Fisher Kings, their suits, they kind of looked at those jet ski things that they got into that were breaking off. I'm like,
I even talking about this film, the more I think about it, the more I'm excited to see it again.
I'll tell you this, and that's why I say this, because hot take here. When I saw Into the Spider-Verse, I had so many of my friends saying it's the greatest movie of the year.
Right.
And I went into it waiting for the next thing to be like, when am I going to be wowed? And I didn't live in the moment of the film. Yeah. And I got out and they're like, what you think? I was like, oh, it was good. And they're like, then they're like, yo, DC guy, you hated Spider-Man. I was like, no, I didn't hate it. But for 24 hours, I couldn't stop thinking about it, Spider-Verse. And I was like, I have to see it again. Because I was thinking about it constantly, because I want to go back. I want to see it again. Ant-Man and the Wasp, I forgot about it an hour after the film, and I haven't seen it since. This Aquaman, I've been thinking about it since I saw it last night. So I was like, that's what a good movie does to me. It makes you want to go back and discover and like, what did I feel? Did I feel this?
Yeah.
That's my take on it.
All right. Well, listen, this was about where I expected us to be,
I'm curious why Roxy thought I wasn't going to like it.
I don't know.
Maybe the humor thing.
Maybe.
Because that is for me still every time some kind of joke drops or the record scratch with that music, I'm like, ugh.
So, and you said, so we ranked it, you gave it like a B if you had
That's what I said. I went in seeing it a B. When I walked out, I was like, that is a solid B for me. A solid
So maybe
B.
it's a B minus for me.
I'm a B student in school my entire life, and I was happy. So
maybe it's a B minus overall for me.
Okay.
No way is it a C plus.
No.
I think very conservatively, I think James Wan is obviously an incredibly talented person.
Yeah.
I think that wraps it up for movies.
Yeah.
We have a little bit of a very abbreviated a soupçon of a TV time.
It's
in her
time
honor.
for Roxy Striar's TV
Yes.
time. All the girls think Johnny's fine. Adam's cooking so divine. Also Mikey Christmas time. DC movie news, it's time to talk TV time.
Yeah.
I'm excited to be here talking about this because I have not been here for a while. That's
You
my
have
fault.
not, and
That
so
is
we really
my
haven't talked Titans.
fault. Titans, guys, if you're a fan of, I gotta talk about this because I don't know if I was on board with Titans from the beginning. I was invited to that little thing over Comic-Con, and that first trailer dropped with the whole Batman, and I was just like, this is what they're doing. But I finally was able to sit down and binge Titans. I think 6 episodes had come out, and I fell in love with it.
What was your favorite episode? I'm just curious.
So far, I've seen everyone except last night's. I love the Jason Todd.
I love that Jason Todd episode.
Watching Doom Patrol, I can see where they were executive like, yep, greenlight that as a series, because that was phenomenal.
But it seemed like a soft pilot for the show. Like they already knew that they were heading in that direction.
But so it's just like,
because it was such a bottle episode.
Yeah, and just like creepy and weird.
Very interesting tone.
I love the Jason. For me, I wasn't sold on the guy as Robin, Brendan Thwaites.
Brendan Thwaites?
Because he looks so young to me. I'm like,
Roxy always said.
But I looked him up. He's almost 30.
Yeah.
That's a perfect Dick Grayson age. That is like, okay, I'm on board. He just looks young for his age.
And I always say Kalinowski, because my brother was a cop. I know a little bit about
you
this.
do.
He was a detective by the time he was about 30.
Yeah.
And you have to take a test. So how's Dick Grayson doing on the test?
He's acing it.
Almost to the point where he probably would have to fail it a couple of times
Did you ever read
to make it not look so
the Nightwing
obvious.
comics in the early 2000s where he became a cop and he purposely not failed, but
did not, but he
poorly in the
bumbled.
exams.
He almost did like a Clark Kent bumbling kind of thing.
He was like, they're like, Grayson, you're slacking, move it, and in the physical stuff, he would kind of hold back. It was kind of cool stuff. He was kind of like the so-so cop. He was the C+ cop.
Yeah, it's definitely the most adult, R-rated DC mainstream superhero show we've ever gotten.
You and I talked about this a little bit the other day with Marvel. The fact that they talk about Bruce, Diana, Themyscira.
So much so.
They don't hem and haw around it on certain other shows that we watch that are kind of like, we don't know if we could talk about it, so we're going to mention the rich guy.
I'll just
Gotham.
get out and say it. The way that the Netflix Marvel shows and the ABC Marvel shows have failed us with tying to the greater continuity as a fan of
I wasn't
Marvel,
even saying that. I was going to say some of our DC friends.
Oh, I'm saying it.
Oh, you go for it.
I'm saying it is a bummer. But the way that they not only just address it, but they make Batman such a successful part of the show by creating a Spectre.
We got the Batcave and the Batmobile, for God's sakes.
And we got Bruce and Shoulders and we got a whole backstory. They've created such a great... Talk about comic booky. This is the most... And I know we're supposed to be more specifically...
I'll do this.
Okay.
I'll get to this. Don't worry.
It's just and Hawk and Dove, and they're freaking. They look so gorgeous,
and
there's
that
the
origin for them. I was like, oh.
dark.
I was like,
this is DC Dark done really well.
You know, it's funny because we were talking. It's like when a show like this, if this was on a network, you get 2 episodes and they're like, oh, it's not getting the audience canon. They knew they had the X amount of episodes. They knew where the story was going to go. They greenlit the second season before this first one even aired. So you knew, like, it is the evolution. I didn't know. Yeah. I had no clue that he was going to be Nightwing eventually. Like, they're going Nightwing. There's going to be the Nightwing suit.
He burned. Spoilers. He may have.
They spoiled. He burned that a while ago.
He burned that suit.
But it's like, he's going to be Nightwing eventually. So I'm like, I love this show.
That would be incredible to see. And so people have seen Batman is apparently in the finale, which is either dropped today or next week.
Yes.
And do you think? But you don't think you're going to see a face of Batman?
I don't think so. And I think I like that because the minute he gets a face and it's an actor, we're instantly throwing assumptions to it.
I couldn't agree more.
This way, I can put what I think of Bruce Wayne into that.
Exactly.
And it's not the story of Bruce Wayne. It's the story of the Titans.
I love it.
But if you're a fan, guys, and we're talking about this, check out it's DC Universe. It's the app. It is Titans started back in October, I think it was, and that's it's every week they're releasing the newest one. Came out last night, every Friday. It's Dick Grayson, Rachel Roth, Corey Anders, Gar Logan, and now they're kind of doing the whole Trigon thing, the whole Raven being the daughter and stuff, which I love. It's kind of a gritty take, so if people love Teen Titans, this is like, I saw Teen Titans go in the movies. Not for me.
But again, so crazy that they can put out the same in the same year.
But you talk about like Titans, like no comedy. It's really not funny, and I love it.
And just to clarify, the finale of Teen Titans premieres today. I'm going to go home and watch it right now. December 21st.
The Titans.
Titans,
yes.
So the same day Aquaman opens everywhere, the Titans finale is on.
DC
it is
Christmas.
a DC Christmas.
It's from executive producers Akiva Goldsmith, Jeff Johns, Greg Berlanti, Greg Walker, Sarah Schlater, and John Fawcett. This is, the Titans coming together. And again, it's just a different take on it. I love it. I'm on board. I know you guys have been trying to reach out to me to talk about Titans, so I'm finally here talking about it. I'm going to kind of go into more. I want to talk more about it, but I mean, season 2 is going to start filming in February, they said.
Yes.
So, but then it's on all your favorite devices. Just dropped on Amazon Fire. That was the big
so they just have a new app. So I imagine more formats will be available as it rolls out.
People are talking. They're like, why is it not doing PlayStation? Why is it not doing Xbox? It is incredibly tough to program. It's not just like you could just put it on it. They've got to do the coding for the thing. So if you guys are asking. That's why.
In the meantime, it's available on Apple TV. It's available on the Fire Stick.
I have $7.99 a month.
What?
$7.99 a month.
$7.99 a month, or you could save a bundle, save like 20% or something if you purchase for the whole year. I watch mine with my Google Chromecast dongle.
I watch on my Fire TV now on TV.
That's awesome. And then finally, I think the next live action show is the aforementioned Doom Patrol. We have a trailer.
Let's watch it.
Let's check out the trailer of Doom Patrol. I haven't seen it yet. This is actually my first time seeing it. Yeah. Yeah.
So I love this. It's kind of a cool little thing they do.
Tiny Tim?
Photos suck. Shoulders in, use the light. Posture.
Oh, wait, is that actual Ray Fisher cyborg?
Yeah, not Ray.
Not Ray Fisher.
No, smile. Are we smiling?
Yeah.
Am I the only one who always ends up with red eye?
Yeah.
Right.
And like, it's creepy.
Yeah.
It's like the music.
It's got an Addams Family tone to it.
It's like the whole episode was creepy, but it works for me. I mean, like.
Yeah, that looks phenomenal. Oh, that is cool. Yeah, of course they recast, but they have Cyborg in there, actual Cyborg. Yeah. I remember reading about that, and I know we talked about it on the show, but that was I didn't expect to see that he was going to be like a regular on Doom Patrol.
So
unreal. And you said, and then we did, of course, get also Timothy Dalton in that
as Niles, Chief Niles Calder. So. That's February 12th, I believe that airs.
Wow.
But have you seen, we'll talk about more next show. There's all this casting happening with Stargirl, too.
Yes, Joe McHale is on there.
I think they said Swamp Thing is... I want to say they gave a date, but I don't remember.
They did give a date.
Swamp Thing will be dropping soon. So they're doing it.
It's in August. I believe Swamp Thing is actually...
They're piecemealing these new shows, but it seems like it's going to be... we're going to get them in blocks, which is great, which keeps people coming back, So check it out, DCUniverse.com. Because I know I'm loving it. I'm loving it. What is that, McDonald's?
That's McDonald's you're loving. So, yes, I believe that's August. I can't find the exact date.
I don't have anything else to say. When are you going to see Aquaman again? You can see it again?
I am going to see it again. I'll probably see it with like my mom and dad because they always like to see those big blockbusters somewhere around Christmas time. We're Jewish, so we try to get movies and Chinese food in. It's the best thing driving around Los Angeles when it's really quiet.
You don't make your own Chinese food?
No. We have some of the best authentic Chinese food in the San Gabriel Valley near where we live. It's incredible. It's just so much great Asian food. But my brother's wife does celebrate Christmas, so we'll do some of that with the family. But it's a great time of year. I know you love Christmas. I know you're going to be having...
I'm in my heaven right now.
Are you baking cookies? What are you doing?
Cookies, baking, cooking. Got a ham that's going to be made.
That's great.
Honey glazed it myself.
That's exciting. I love it. That's it. Happy holidays, guys. Happy New Year.
Yeah, have a great New Year. We'll be back.
We'll be back.
After the first of the year.
After the first. In 2019, we'll be back. We got 2 big DC movies coming out. We got...
Shazam?
We got Shazam coming up early, and then we got a Joker movie.
Which is going to be crazy.
That's crazy.
I'm like... Okay, well, let's see what happens with those.
All right, for Jonny LoQuasto, who's not here, at JQuasto. For Roxy Striar, at Roxy Striar.
I'm at Mike Kanowski. If you're a fan of the Schmoes Know, something big's happening today.
What are you doing? Are you like competing for the gold?
The gold.
It's all
competing
happening.
For the strap. It's coming out today. Today is the day. If you guys have been following, you know what has this led up to. Check it out. And also, tweet. I know I haven't been here a while, but guys, reach out to me. I'd love to keep talking about Aquaman on Twitter, at Mike Kanowski.
Yes, can't wait to hear what you guys all think. Thanks for being a fan of the show and watching us for 4 years. I'm Adam Gertler, at Adam Gertler. Get yourself a Ninja Foodie. Eat some of my wieners at Doghouse. Watch FX Movie Download. And we'll see you next time on DC Movie News.
Happy holidays, everyone.
Producers Maria Menounos, Kevin Undergaro, Phil Svitek, and the entire Popcorn Talk Network. We'd like to thank you for tuning in. For questions or comments, be sure to visit popcorntalk.com. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been a presentation of the Popcorn Talk Network.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of its owners or principals.